Hey everybody, welcome to Previews and Reviews. I'm your host, Hayden Smalley, and today I'm going to be giving my spoiler thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth. If you couldn't tell, I am a major Jurassic Park fan. I love the original trilogy. I loved Jurassic World. I'm not as big a fan of Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. While I do enjoy them, they have their flaws. So I was hesitant about this film. David Koepp, the screenwriter for the original Jurassic Park and the Lost World Jurassic Park, came back with this film. So I had hopes. Universal seemed very confident in it. They got some great talent behind and in front of the camera. One of the things I couldn't really talk about in my spoiler-free review that I'm just going to unload right now is the amount of new animals we have in this film. And I have to say animals because it's not just dinosaurs. We actually have very few new dinosaurs introduced in this film. We do, however, have several species that we had never seen in a Jurassic Park film up to this point. And so I've got my list here, and I'm going to kind of, run down this list. Of course, the first couple of creatures that are kind of new additions to this franchise that aren't the extinct animals are the dolphins and the bats. Modern day animals, but this is actually, I think, the first time we see bats or dolphins in the franchise. I thought that was really cool and worth mentioning, but what you really want to know is what species of de-extincted animals did they add to this franchise? The first one being the Dunkleosteus, a prehistoric fish that was very heavily armored. This fish, in a lot of ways, is like the Ankylosaurus of fish, except it's carnivorous. All we see is a decapitated head, so we know something bigger ate it, whether it be the Mosasaurus or what I think they allude to next, the Megalodon. We see a set of Megalodon jaws at this pier, and Duncan alludes to there being live Megalodon out in the ocean. So now there's Dunkleosteus, there's Mosasaurus, and now there's two Mosasaurs out there. So it's not just the one. So now they can breed, and the film does verify that there are, in fact, two unique Mosasaurs in the Jurassic Park canon. It's not a retcon of it's the original. It just looks different because they're tracking the one from the Jurassic World Park. And then the second one pops up on the radar, and that's the one we see in the film. So now we could have an ocean full of Mosasaurs, and we have to ask ourselves, because InGen never cloned, as far as we know, Dunkleosteus, Megalodon. It's got to be these other companies, so where are they getting this DNA? And as much as I love that these creatures are brought back, that's kind of a questionable science, because it never gives us an explanation. I know a lot of people have a problem with that. I don't, because they've established, cloning and all that is now kind of an open source technology. It could have been Biosyn. It could have been any number of companies that exist in that franchise, in that universe that we've seen or not seen. Who knows? Maybe Masrani Global still has a genetics company outside of InGen. InGen went into Chapter 11 and Parkergenics buys it. You get that confirmation in this film. So it's really interesting to see, but let's get on to some of the other creatures. Now, these are creatures that InGen almost certainly created because they are on this Isle St. Hubert. I know I'm going to butcher this name, so bear with me. The Ignoronathus. A lot of people were saying, that they saw this frog-pterosaur hybrid hopping around in the film. It's not a hybrid. That is an actual creature that existed at one point in time. Could they have picked a color other than green? Yeah, they probably could have, just to make it easier to discern that it's not just a frog hopping around. But this was a really neat entry into the franchise. You've also got, the Pteranodon you see in a couple of scenes. And there's actually this really cool moment at the pier where we see the Lost World Jurassic Park Pteranodon. And what's neat about it is it's a micro version of it. And if you've read the Jurassic Park novel, the original novel, Hammond, when he first was doing genetics, he had a micro elephant. And I think this kind of alludes to that. Now that they've opened that can of worms, you could have all sorts of micro dinosaurs. You could have a full Prehysteria happen in the Jurassic Park universe. Now, we've also got, of course, the Quetzalcoatlus returning, but this time in a very different form. And while I think its design, I wasn't really sold on its design until I actually watched the movie. I think it's great. I think it works really well. It's way more intimidating than the previous design from Jurassic World Dominion, but it's smaller. It's like half the size, which works for what they're doing in this film. But I mean, is it a female? Is the one we saw, are the ones we saw in Dominion male? I don't think so, because we see two of them at a nest on a skyscraper in Dominion. So it's this question of why are they different? And it's why are they different more than just, genetic technology. It's more than that, because in the Natural History Museum, when Dr. Henry Loomis is showing the skeletons for the creatures that they're going to go after, he points out a Quetzalcoatlus skeleton, and its beak matches the Rebirth Quetzalcoatlus, when really it should match the Dominion Quetzalcoatlus, because that was actually a more accurate design to science. It creates this weird jump in believability and in canon, because Biosyn created the first Quetzalcoatlus we see in the franchise, and they're supposed to be making them 100% genetically accurate. So this is either a different subspecies to the Jurassic Park universe, or, in universe, I guess that is just how you have to classify it, because there is no other way than just a lack of attention to detail on Universal's part. But now onto a really, really interesting entry. It's not given an official name in the film, but there is this amphibian, this big salamander thing with like this, fin-looking tail and stuff. It's not given a name in the film, but it's obviously meant to be a prehistoric amphibian of some kind. And I've seen a few names tossed around. My favorite theory is Ichthyostega. It would be about the right size, about the right shape. I actually have a fossil in my office here. I had to go get the fossil. This is not an Ichthyostega, as far as I am aware. If it is, let me know in the comments if you happen to know. But I have had this for years, and it's really neat to see something like this in a Jurassic Park movie. But anyways, it's really neat to see prehistoric amphibians making their way into the Jurassic Park franchise. This last creature, of course, you've got the mutants, you've got the D-Rex and the Mutodons. So I'm not going to touch too much on those if you've seen the film. They're fine. I like the D-Rex more than I like the Mutodons. Aside from the amphibian, there's one creature in the film that we're not even shown completely what it looks like. I've seen people calling it a snake. I've seen people calling it an eel. It's this thing where they're wading through this creek, this creek or this bog, and something's swimming around and touching them. And we just know it's kind of a black and orange color. My theory is that it's a prehistoric lamprey, like we saw being cooked in Jurassic World Dominion during the Malta sequence. And then there's one other unknown creature that we see. Well, we don't see. We hear it. It's when the boyfriend character is like whipping his, the stick that he's got through the forest, and this huge creature starts making noise and tromping through the woods. And there's just no telling. But that's one of the things that makes the jungle feel alive. You don't always see everything that's in the jungle with you. You might hear it, but you're not going to see everything. And that's one of the things I love about Jurassic World Rebirth is the jungle and the island that they're on feels alive. From the water just off of the island's coast to the heart of the jungle, this jungle feels like a threat. Like, I was surprised that I didn't see characters picking leeches off of them. Like, I fully expected there to be leeches. And that's the kind of jungle this film sells you on. Listing off some of the other dinosaurs, you have velociraptors, great design. The Jurassic Park 3 design with some alternate colors, but you hardly get to see the coloring because it's in the dark for like 30 seconds and that's all you see of the velociraptors. You've got the Titanosaurus, our new sauropod for the film. You've got the return of the Spinosaurus, kind of. It's a very different Spinosaurus. It's supposed to be the same species, just a different genetic variation, a mutated variation that's a little more like the actual Spinosaurus that existed at one point or another. These are very intimidating to watch in the film when they're moving around in the water together. They almost look like serpents swirling together. There's several sequences where they remind me of crocodiles. You've got the Apatosaurus, featured in one scene in New York, and it's nearly a corpse. It's dying. You've got a Parasaurolophus, which is a corpse. You've got the Dilophosaurus, which is eating the corpse. And then you've got the T-Rex sleeping next to the corpse. And of course, there's an Ankylosaurus in like one moment of the film. That pretty much sums up all of the species in this film. Now let's talk about kind of the ending. Overall, there's just a variety of things the franchise could do moving forward, or they could choose to do nothing moving forward. They don't have to follow up anything else from this film. We never have to see the D-Rex or the Mutodons again. We never have to see the giant creature DNA, and what's done with it. We could hear in a passing newsreel, due to paleogenetic research, we found a cure for heart disease. You could hear that in a newsreel. What I want to see moving forward is anthology films, and this feels like an anthology. Popcorn Buckets, like I said in my spoiler-free review and the short review, 5 out of 5 Popcorn Buckets. It's a highly entertaining film. If you want to sit down and be entertained for 2 hours, you're going to get that with this movie. It's highly entertaining. For craftsmanship, I have to give it 5 out of 5 film reels. I know there's a few things I nitpick, but you can nitpick any movie. At the end of the day, this film does a phenomenal job at exactly what it's trying to do. It's gorgeous. Every frame is like a painting in the sense of like it's beautiful. The CGI work is great for being such a short timeline from start of pre-production to end of post-production and then release. Some of the best visuals in the franchise. I would definitely recommend this film for fans and general audiences who want to be entertained. Let me know what you think. How many popcorn buckets and how many film reels would you give it? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, God bless.